What's up, virtual smoke that world? What's going on, cigar enthusiasts? This is Jack, the cigar enthusiast, and we got you. I can't hear you. Nope. And you're not muted. That's the crazy part. And that's Johnny the Cigar Baker. We are the virtual smoke deck, man. I hope you guys are having an amazing Sunday and having a great day. We are looking forward to having a great show. We got the one, the only Noel Rojas in the building today. Hey, before we go forward, before we do anything else, we got to give a shout out to Johnny. Can you hear me? I can't hear you still. Figure it out. We got to give a wonderful shout out to Johnny for celebrating his 25th birthday on the market. And we got to give one of our favorite viewers, Charles W. Roof, a happy birthday from the Virtual Smoke Deck family, celebrating his 40th anniversary birthday. His 40th anniversary. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. 40th birthday on this world, man. Seeing he was smoking something very elegant. Time for a Killer Bee and some company bourbon. So we're looking forward to it, man. We got a great action-packed show for you guys today. With that being said, hey, go Eagles. And also, shout out to the Genesis 18 My Line Brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Sigma Pi Lambda chapter, for celebrating their first anniversary as alphas, man. Today is our first anniversary, man, and we had an amazing time today. So with that being said, hey, it's time to get this show started. So let's go ahead, buckle down, and get ready. Let's go.
We off in this place, catching vibes, sit back and we blaze in the sky like I'm out of space.
What's going on, Virtual Smoke Deck family? Man, we got Noel Rojas in the building. What's up, Noel?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, it's going good. It's going good, man. Welcome to the Virtual Smoke Deck. Johnny, let me see if I can hear you. I cannot hear you, Johnny. I don't know what's going on. Well, you're muted now.
Do you hear me?
I can hear you, no.
Okay.
Johnny. No. Make sure you're say it again.
That's crazy. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
I sound better.
It sound better. Now I got my Johnny.
You can hear me, man. That was crazy, man. I don't know what happened.
Hey, look at God.
Look at God, man.
Hey, Noel, what's up, brother? Hi, welcome to the Virtual Smoke Deck, bro.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Oh man, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, man. A lot of people has been asking about you, so we thought it would be beneficial to go ahead and get you on the Virtual Smoke Deck for an amazing show.
Well, happy to be here.
We are happy to have you, Johnny, man. How's your day been going?
Dude, it's been great, man. I've been smoking cigars all day, man. You know, I stopped out a cigar shop this morning, and no, just to tell you, I'm not the guy that watches sports. I don't watch sports. So today is obviously like Sunday football in the cigar shop, and I didn't stay too long because I can't relate. like everyone is getting hyped up over the game, and I'm just sitting down smoking my cigar. I'm like, guys, like don't talk. I don't know what's going on. But apart from that, it's been good, man. I celebrated my 26th birthday this past weekend. Stop it, Jack. You only got like 5 years on me, man. 5 or 4 years. Stop it, man. We almost...
such a baby.
You hear this? Do y'all hear this foolishness? You know, then you got Charles on the back end return 40, you know. Charles at the halfway mark to where, you know, he you know, like we in the military, you know, you reach that 10-year mark in your career. And then we always say that last 10 years is a downward slope. Charles, welcome to the downward slope years of life.
I hope not. That boy got a lot of life to live.
He do, man. But I mean, the age for life is what, like 76 years old? like the average lifespan is like 76, 80, something like that. So he's on
But
the downward.
no, y'all need to stop reading that Bible that y'all be reading and read the right Bible, okay? The Bible says you're supposed to live to your 120 minimum.
Jack. All right.
All right, a minimum, and that's in Genesis. My pastor preached on that today.
Well, so Jack, when you smoking like the guy that I think he passed away like a couple years ago. Remember the World War II vet that went viral? He's a black guy, and he was like he had claimed, I think it's from like Oklahoma, Mississippi, and he had claimed his longevity in life to smoking like 3 cigars a day.
Yeah,
right. He lived to like 112 years old, and he was like the reason why he lived so long is he drank a shot of bourbon a day and he smoked 3 cigars.
Yeah.
If I could live like that, I wouldn't mind. I honestly would not mind. I wouldn't mind.
Hey, look, at the end of the day, it's about living your best life to the fullest and counting every day as one.
That's facts.
Okay.
That's facts.
So cheers to that, man. Happy 26th birthday.
Thank you, brother.
Happy birthday.
You got it, bro.
Happy birthday to Charles.
Charles, happy birthday, brother.
Celebrating his 40th. Now, I ain't gonna lie, Charles. You look 50. I'm just playing. Hey, look. Hey, Noel. So, welcome to the virtual smoke deck. We are excited to have you on the show. I think it's going to be an amazing show. We have an action-packed show. A lot of what we do is having fun, having just genuine conversation that we would normally have in a cigar lounge. So why won't a lot of people know about Noel? A lot of people don't know about Noel. Let's go ahead and introduce Rojas Cigars to the people that don't know who you are.
Well, once again, thank you for having me on the show. My name is Noel Rojas, and I'm with Rojas Cigars, which is all about small ring gauge cigars. So the Rojas Cigar Company was created about 4 years ago, but really I have been making cigars in Nicaragua for the last 10 years. Different companies that I had in the past, but the brand Rojas and the company Rojas Cigars was created about 5 years ago. I would say 4 years. Yeah, it's about 4 years ago.
Okay. Well, welcome to the industry. One thing that we love on the virtual smoke deck is seeing people grow, right?
Yeah.
Being able to see people in their beginning stages. And 4 years is still in your beginning stages, and is considered longevity of an industry. And your name is already ringing bells. I mean, that's how we have heard about in the Rojas. And actually, what's crazy is I follow you personally on your cigar lounge, and I've seen when you opened up your first cigar lounge in Reno. So, you gave me the face. Am I missing something here? You don't have a cigar lounge?
No.
The factory, I know what's set up.
The factory.
Yeah, the factory, man. It's beautiful.
So I must be overthinking something, because I swear it's a Rojas Cigars lounge in Reno. Am I wrong?
No. Our main business is manufacturing and wholesaling, and we do have a wholesale warehouse here in Texas, in Dallas. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But the grand opening was in Nicaragua for the factory. And this was August 27. Last August 27.
Nice.
Well, excuse my misunderstanding and misquotation of facts. That is not what we do here, and I do apologize. So, nevertheless, we're gonna move on. That never happened. We're only at 11 minutes and 48 seconds, so we got 40-something minutes left. Okay. Nevertheless, we did see that you had a grand opening of your factory. Tell us what got you into cigars.
Well, I'm original from Cuba. I came from Cuba about 15 years ago, and I'm from the region of Pinar del Rio. which is well known for tobacco growing and tobacco cigars manufacturing. It's what is called the Triangle of Vuelta Abajo, which is Pinar del Rio, San Juan, Martinez, and San Luis. And I have been working in tobacco fields since I was a kid. Not because I have a family tradition thing or anything like that. It's just that's really 90% of the job opportunities down there in Nicaragua. Sorry, down there in Cuba.
Mhm.
So if you live in, for example, I don't know, Camagüey, which is the other side of Cuba, you will mostly be working like in banana plantains or things like that. Just Pinar del Rio is all tobacco. Everywhere you go, it's just tobacco, tobacco, tobacco. And if you want to make an extra bucks during the weekend, when you're not in the school, you just go work with a farmer, local farmer, or something like that. Same thing as you go up in the school. They had a system in the past. I don't think they have it anymore. But back when I was in the school, you actually have to go to work on tobacco fields or whatever was around you half of the day, and then half of the day you have to go to school. So it's just something that becomes part of your daily interaction and culture, and you always see the old people, the elder ones, just talking about tobacco when you're growing, and you saw the tobacco from this guy, you saw the tobacco from this guy this year. This year we're gonna have a good crop. This year, so it's all about tobacco and tobacco and tobacco. And me personally, I didn't have a background of having any family related that could actually teach me about tobacco, like some other people had in the past. I just fall in love with it, with the whole process of seeing a little seed becoming a plant, then somebody taking care of this plant on the field, like it was a little baby. You know what I mean? Then taking care of that plant all the way to the process of drying the tobacco leaf on the tobacco barns, fermenting the tobacco. It's just that all the love that goes into the process of going from seed all the way to a manufactured cigar that you can actually taste. It's uh, it's definitely a very unique industry, and I will guess if you're gonna compare with something that you actually taste, will be like having a chef growing a cow from Slittle all the way where he killed the cow and then make some really good filet mignon or steaks and put it on a plate for you and said, "Try it out. What do you think?"
Yeah.
So it's a very unique, interesting industry. Plus the other side, uh, which is I think one of the things that gets more of my attention is everything that goes on the manufacturing of the cigar and on the blending of the cigar to make sure that you have the best experience when you're actually smoking that cigar. There's a lot of things going on in the industry
Yeah,
to actually get a final cigar. Plus all the artwork labels, and it's a beautiful thing. I think that's it's a whole combination of facts that actually make it very special.
absolutely. So, so,
Absolutely.
so, so, no. Talking about kind of Cuba, right? Cuba is kind of the forefront. People when people in America talk about cigars, they often refer to Cuba, right? So, what do you think? Before we even get into Rojas and everything like that, what do you think is the main attention grab that people have towards the Cuban cigar?
Well, um, realistically, what happened with Cuba is what happened with the Coca Cola in the US, right? So Coca Cola is what they call the leading brand, and it will always be the leading brand on the Cokes, just because it's what they call the law of the first, which means the first product on a brand new category is going to be the dominating product forever. Like Nike on sport shoes, Rolex on expensive watches, um, Cuban cigars, and Cuban cigars. Because the thing is, even though cigars might be made all around the world, back in the times, I think Cuba was the one that actually uh, was the first one to come out with a premium cigar that was not only a leaf roll with no mold or anything like that. It was just a better presented, better looking, better made premium cigars, and that's just on the perception side of it, right? I think just because of that, because Cuba was the leading percent on coming out with premium cigars, was the first one for people to actually understand and have an emotional attachment to their minds that Cuba will be the Coca-Cola of cigars per se, like Coca-Cola is in the States. I mean, you will have many Cokes coming up, many Cokes trying to take Coca-Cola place, but I mean, it's Coca-Cola is always going to be Coca-Cola, right? Now, on the flavor part of it, which is not the perception but reality, the one thing that Cuban tobacco has, which it's not what they have right now because everything that is going on, but the way that it used to be grown by the elders is that with Cuban tobacco you get all the complexity you expect from the cigar, and you don't have to be blending Cuban tobaccos from many regions of Cuba. You can make a Cuban cigar out of just one particular region using visos, ligeros, and secos, and you get all the complexity in the world. Uh, versus, for example, making cigars from Nicaragua or Dominican, where in order to accomplish complexity, you have to mix it up with different regions of Nicaragua, Dominican, or other countries in a sense. Um, that's just my opinion. That's how I think. Um, I love Cuban tobacco, and I think Cuban tobacco, Nicaraguan tobacco, and Dominican tobacco, they're just completely different categories,
Absolutely.
right? Um, if you like mild to medium cigars, or in some cases medium cigars with a lot of complexity, that will be Cuba. But if you want full body or medium to full body, or really strong flavors tobaccos, then you're looking towards Nicaragua. They're two completely different categories. But the real thing on the flavor side of it, and that's just my opinion, is you have to do a little bit more of blending to be able to get the complexity you get out of Cuban tobacco with tobaccos out of Cuba.
Absolutely. And go ahead,
No,
Johnny.
go ahead. No, I was just gonna say I finally watched the talking to what Noel was talking about. I finally watched the documentary that came out, Hand Road. I don't know if you've seen it yet, man. The doggone documentary is incredibly informative, and they're drawing like creating like I guess like parallels between like Cuban tobacco and back in the 1950s when a lot of those guys picked up operations and moved to Nicaragua and Dominican Republic, and they started their operations there. And back to his saying, like Jack asked a question about like what's the hype surrounding Cuban tobacco then, and then Cuban tobacco now, and how there's a distinct difference between the two tobaccos, um, especially in regard to how it's rated, and then like what we consider premium tobacco, right? Because like Cuba is pretty much communist, right? So like the standards for rating tobacco are much lesser than Nicaragua or Dominican Republic. And so I was there's only one retailer down here that I know of that carries Rojas cigars, and I've smoked like the street taco, right? And I was looking at your bio, and I saw how the hashtag or the smaller name they call you is King of the Small Gauges.
That's correct.
Can you explain that to us? I know a lot, especially those who watch and they don't enjoy small ring. This is what I smoke. I love. I mean, pretty much I'm either smoking a Lancero or I'm smoking a Robusto. And that's just where I'm at in terms of ring gauges that I smoke. But can you explain to us that name or why they gave it to you, or what's your premise on identifying yourself as that?
Sure. So the whole thing with the small ring gauge cigars, and this is something that most of the people that actually research a little bit about cigars construction and how cigars are made, what are the main influencers of the flavor in tobacco or
Absolutely.
cigars, will easily find out is that what is responsible in most of the cases for the flavor of the cigar is actually the wrapper.
The rapper, absolutely, yes, sir.
That's why you see so many companies coming out with one blend, three different wrappers, right?
Absolutely.
Like they make one blend and then they do Connecticut, Sumatra, or Habano or Maduro, things like that. And the thing is, just because the way that the wrapper is fermented, is grown, and all of the care that go into the wrapper, it does deliver, I would say, up to 80% of the flavor of the cigar.
Absolutely.
It's just a physical thing. Whether you make a 70 gauge cigar or you make a Lancero cigar, you only use half of leaf.
Yeah.
So it's a half leaf of a wrapper leaf, right? And what happened is every cigar, unless it's like more than 6.5 inches or more than 6 inches, every cigar has three turns. So if you see the wrapper and you count it, even on a 5 inch cigar, which is like a robusto, you can see that the wrapper actually go around the cigar three times.
Yeah.
And what happened is on a smaller gauge cigars, the overlap between those turns is wider than a 70 gauge, for example, or a 60 gauge, which the bigger the gauge, the less wider that overlap of the wrapper becomes, and that um, uh, minimizes the effect of the flavor of the wrapper or the intensity of the flavor of the wrapper on the cigar as you go wider on the gauge. And as you go thinner on the gauge, you get a wider overlap. You actually can taste more of the wrapper. I read something. It was a post or something that Cigar Aficionado actually wrote once, and they were talking about the history of lanceros,
Yeah.
and they were saying, and I looked it up, I found it and read it. They were saying that the lancero size was actually invented by Fidel Castro in Cuba. One day they were looking around and smoking all the tobaccos they had and all the wrappers they had, and he smoked a particular wrapper that was really flavorful, and he said, it's a pity that we don't have a size that would actually allow the consumer to taste this particular wrapper flavor. And that's when they invented the Lancero size. That's when they came out with the Lancero size. So let's make a cigar that's going to allow the people to actually taste the flavor of the wrapper. And that's when they came out with the Lancero size. And then, from then on, it's history. Uh, as you go smaller on the gauge, you're going to take more flavor of the wrapper. And, I'm all about flavor. I do care about strength in the cigar, but I think most of the people, and this is just my opinion, most of the people will smoke cigars for flavor, not for
Yeah.
strength. Um, I like a medium strength, medium up on a cigar, but I'd rather get a lot of flavor, than just having a medium or a full body cigar with no flavor at all, just strength, which is the case like if you were making a cigar with 100% ligero from Esteli, for example. Yeah. So I decided to focus just on the cigars that are gonna deliver most flavor, and that's what I claim to be the king of the smaller gauges. Now there is a lot of work that goes into that. You have a lot of negative on making cigars on a smaller gauges because the construction is a pain on the neck. For
Yeah.
you to have an idea, The draw on the cigar, it's mostly guaranteed by the ability of the roller to be able to put the leaf in a certain way that the air is going to go through from one side of the cigar to the other, and how good that roller is. I
Yeah.
mean, we're talking about half grams and 1 grams um, weight that they might be able to feel on their hands, where they're over or under. That's almost nothing. Feeling 1 gram in your hand,
So
right? And the
so
thing is,
no,
yes,
before you go too far, because I think we got something packed for you on that aspect.
Yeah.
okay, okay,
Speaking of smaller gauges, right? Right now in this arena of smoking that we are in, a lot of people smoke Robusto Toro, right? You have very few people that are coming in the store asking for a Lancero size. So, kind of marinating back into your points that you have already stated in regards to you know the wrapper producing more flavor. That's why I often tell people it's like, hey, if you're looking for a Gordo, a 70 or 60, I mean, or 80, you are asking for more filler than wrapper. Why do you feel people go to those bigger gauges than they do the smaller gauges?
I think it's a perception. It's the perception that you're getting a bigger burger
Yeah.
for the same price, and
Yeah.
you're gonna get more. And I actually did something that I probably will do it again on a bigger scale to actually demonstrate that that perception is wrong. And I did something that was called the Rojas Challenge, and you can actually check it out on the videos on Facebook. So I sent about 80 packages with 2 cigars. This is probably 2 years ago. And I sent a Mareva size, which is 42 gauge, 518 by 42. And I
So
sent
that's more of a Lancero, Lancero
uh,
early petite Corona.
Mareva. Mareva is like a classic Cuban size, 518 by 42 gauge. And the Lancero will be more like 7.5 by 38.
Yeah.
So I send a Mareva, and I believe in some cases, I send a Corona on 46 gauge, and I send a Lonsdale or a Toro on 50 gauge, something like that. I put different packages. But anyways, I search out to people, and I reach out to people and said, "Hey guys, if you want to be part of the Roja Challenge, and this is just to create awareness about the smaller ring gauges, I will send you these 2 cigars for free. And the only thing that I ask you is smoke any of these cigars against any cigar from any manufacturer over 52 gauge, and
Yeah.
just smoke them one at a time. Smoke two of them at the time, and just smoke one and smoke the other, smoke one, smoke the other. Take the time and compare notes, because that's how you really can see the difference between a bigger gauges and a smaller gauge cigar. Well, I can tell you that 100% of them were amazed that was they were getting so much flavor out of a smaller gauge cigar versus any cigar over 52
Absolutely.
that they were comparing to. I mean,
Absolutely.
they said, if you will see the videos out there if you search for them. They will say, we never expect that we will get that much flavor out of this. If you smoke it independently in different times, you won't be able to actually see it. But when you smoke it, one next to the other, that's when you actually realize.
Yeah.
Now, the time frame to smoke that cigar, smaller gauge that I sent versus the other cigar, bigger gauge that they had, was exactly the same, and in some cases, actually took longer to smoke my cigar than smoking other people's cigars.
Yeah.
So I was trying to, show up that the perception that you get a bigger burger is not really a more flavorful burger,
Yeah.
or it's not going to last the same. The thing is, on the inside of the smaller gauge cigars that we actually do, the majority of the tobaccos we put are actually thicker tobaccos, which is higher primings, and that's how we guarantee a lot of flavor and a low speed burning tobacco. There is a review for one of the first Lanceros that I made on the KSG edition. and it took 1.5 hours for the 7.5 by 38 cigar for the guys at the half wheel to smoke them. We're talking about 12 grams. 11, 12 grams, that's the weight of a Lancero. And it took 1.5 hours for them to smoke that. Now, compare that back versus, for example, a 60 gauge cigar, which is only 6 inches by 60 and weighs about 22 to 24 grams. It's double, almost double. And it took, I would say, you smoke any 60 in less than 1.5 hours.
Yeah.
So it's a perception, and that's what I've been trying to do, just to teach people. I mean, of course, we know uh, it's all about perception, and it's all about personal taste. Some people just like bigger cigars. I respect that because we also make some bigger gauge cigars um, for the line that I have, which is called the custom blends, and I think they're very good cigars. But my focus is to be able to deliver the best smaller gauge cigars with the bigger amount of flavor that people can actually taste. And I think there is a big market for that. That people There was not any particular manufacturer that was actually targeting that particular consumer, uh, which is what I call the cigar specialists. The people who actually s- smoke a lot of cigars. Most of the time, you will see them smoking Coronas, Lanceros, Robustos, even Toros on 50 gauge. We make Toros and Robustos on 50 gauge. So there is a lot of going on there on the smaller gauge cigars that we're trying to provide both for those guys to actually be able to enjoy it with the higher amount of flavor that they can get out of the cigar.
Yeah, go ahead, Johnny.
Oh, okay. So no, was it because I guess so technically speaking, you're still new into the industry, right? Not technically, you are. Compared to some of the giants that have been growing tobacco or rolling cigars for hundreds of years. Was it any intimidation coming into the industry, being the new guy on the market? Especially like right now. This is not the '90s, right? '90s were our last before this crazy incline or increase in the premium cigar industry. The '90s were our last crazy increase in the premium cigar industry. So right now we're in the late 2000s. And was there any like intimidation coming into the industry as the new guy in this, like, because like I said, I just watched the hand roll documentary, right? And it was very informative. Like I just started smoking in 2015. That's when I was old enough to smoke in 2015. So I wasn't there in that 90 incline when that boom hit. So right now we're coming on to the second boom, really big boom in the premium cigar industry. Was there any like intimidation, being the new guy on the block? Especially the new serious competition because you're coming out with some amazing cigars. So talk to us about that coming into the industry in the second boom.
Well, I think it's just a human thing.
Yeah,
It's just a human thing. No matter personalities, putting aside personalities, I think it's just a very human thing. Um, for some people to be like that. You know, uh, I'm not that particular guy that allows the ego just to rise and think that they can actually dominate the market. Uh, I don't have that mentality, but
uh-huh.
there's a couple of people in the industry that they do have that mentality, and as I always says, behind the hugs and the smiles, there is a lot of short teeth,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
they're ready to bite you, and they're ready to make whatever they can to get you out of business. That's a reality how it works, especially in Nicaragua. Dominican Republic, I hear, is different, but there's a couple of people in Nicaragua that they will do whatever they could just to get you out of business. No mention names, but there is a lot of people also that they're really happy about seeing somebody going to the market and trying to make a name for themselves. And mostly, I think this type of people is the people who have a lot of confidence on themselves.
Yeah,
They know they're unique and they know they can do things that nobody can do, and they're happy to see other people going up on the industry. For example, Um, Somebody that I have a lot of respect for and admiration for. It's Jonathan Drew,
Mhm.
and the why mainly. I mean, not just because he knows how to do branding and marketing and everything that they did with Drew Estate, but for example, the only person, which is even an American, is not he's not even Cuban. You will expect that from a Cuban guy down there, right? But when I was in Nicaragua, just starting up, and I have my little factory back in the time, I probably have uh, 20, probably about 30 or 35 uh, employees.
Yeah.
And I remember Jonathan Drew calling me and said, "Hey man, I got a safari tour here. I got a group of people." And it was actually the mostly people here from Texas was the Cats group. And he said, they want to see a smaller operation and I want to take them to your factory so they see a smaller factory working. And I said, "Are you sure you want to bring those guys up?" I'm like, this guy, if you think about it, we're competition, but he doesn't see it like that way.
Yeah.
I was like, "Yes, dude, I want to take them, all these people down there so they can see how smaller factories looks like." Well, anyways, he brought the people, we give them the tour and everything. And that was something that shocked me because he said, "Whatever you need, whatever advice I can give you, just count on me." He was really confident that he wasn't losing anything by
Yeah.
doing that. He was actually gaining, and I was amazed. I was amazed. Uh, Other people will not do that. There's other people down there that, I mean, if they could put a bomb in other people's factory, they will do it.
Yeah.
If they could do it and get away with that, that's the way it works. But I tell you this: the beautiful thing about this industry is, even if we are down there in Nicaragua, there's a fact: tobacco providers, wrapper providers, uh, they want to gain more business, so they're
Yeah.
happy with people like me, and they support people like me because it means that they will have more business, another customer, they can sell more tobacco and more wrapper. Same thing with the people who actually made the boxes for cigars and all the providers for products that actually goes into making cigars. They're happy about it. On the other side, here in the States, uh, when people like a particular product, it doesn't matter how mad could be somebody in Nicaragua because my product is selling here. They just want to support the brand. They like the brand.
Absolutely.
They feel one with the brand. They feel they're a part of the brand and they want to support the brand. So they can stop progress.
Yeah.
Whoever didn't like it, they can stop progress. So when you put that two together, there's really nothing that can stop you from growing your product or service. Uh, because who make the difference? Actually, you guys, the consumer. The people
Absolutely.
who actually said, "I want to buy the cigar," and every time you're buying that cigar, you're supporting the brand. You're supporting all the employees behind, and you're even supporting uh, people that you don't even know you're supporting, like a school down there in Nicaragua, which is a school for kids with special needs in
Yeah.
Nicaragua, in Italy, that they don't get any help from the government, and it's actually in Italy the only school for kids with special needs. And we are the number one supporter for this school with um, infrastructure for the school, with food. We bought chickens for them so they can have eggs for breakfast every morning. This school, I mean, they have probably about 200 or 300 kids on the
Yeah.
school, and they don't get any help
Wow.
whatsoever. Uh, Most of the kids that actually pay, they're subsidizing the kids that can't pay because there's some mothers that don't have the money to pay for their service. So I have seen this school in the past when I first got there, with teachers working for 3 months with no salary just because they want
Wow.
to help these kids. And I
Wow.
said, we're gonna do whatever we can to support this particular school. It's called Cristal, and we have done a lot for them, and we're really happy to be able to help the school. And consumers, every time they buy the cigar, they're supporting that school. For example, they're supporting the meat we buy for them, the books we buy from them, everything we invest in infrastructure on the charity side of it. And that's the beauty about it, you know. As
And you know
people
what?
support us,
You
that
said something, man, because I think that's a lot of I think that's a big piece, and I'm pretty sure Jack can agree with this, man, that a lot of people miss on the cigar industry. Like I'll tell y'all, like, and I'm gonna keep on referring back to the movie that I watched last night, Hand Roll, man. I I first started smoking cigars, like I said, in 2015. I never thought that I would be so consumed with the cigar industry like I am right now. You could, Jack, I'm pretty sure you could say the same thing, man. I started smoking just because, not even because I thought it was cool. I turned 18. My first cigar was on my 18th birthday, literally. And if I pin back to 2015, I would never thought that I would be as immersed that I am now. But I say all that to say is, especially dealing with the politics and like the FDA that we have to contend against within the premium cigar industry and fighting for the separation from other tobacco products. When you get deep and you dive deep into the premium cigar industry, you see how charitable we are. All right. You just said something that pinned back and hit hard for me watching the documentary last night. You know, you look at the Charitable Cigar Foundation, right? And what they're doing down in Dominican Republic, man. And you guys are starting schools in Nicaragua. And you think about this, and to me, this may be corny, but to me, it makes me appreciate and fall in love with the industry all over again. Because not only am I enjoying a premium cigar, but I know for each premium cigar that I buy, you know, for the most part, I'm supporting another charitable cause on the back end. Because I mean, when I think about the premium cigar industry, I think about charitable individuals. Talk to me, Jack. What you think, man?
And I think you have a very valid point there. I mean, even how Noel mentioned it, you know, with the school that has those kids, and how some of the teachers are working for salary, you know, no salaries. You know, we look back at America where, you know, teachers feel, you know, underappreciated, underpaid. I mean, just look at it from a standpoint of, you know, these kind of third world countries, right? When I say that, I don't mean it in any type of disrespect.
No.
I mean it in the content of, there's people that's truly out here struggling day to day to
Yeah.
try to make ends meet, and right.
yeah,
And you know, we as the cigar industry provide a lot of the continuity to allowing for a better life. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, Johnny, let's go back to, you know, our time at the Florida Sun-Grown tobacco fields,
Yeah.
where we was listening. I think it's Nestor. Don't get me wrong. I'm sorry if I mentioned that name wrong, or that was the wrong name. But
From
even his
DE.
story, he was saying that, you know, how Drew Estates, you know, speaking of Jonathan Drew, how Drew Estates really opened up a window for him to see a bigger picture, to see a different part of the cigar industry, a different part of the world that he never had understood. Like, he graduated from Nicaraguan schools, came to Miami, Florida, working with Drew Estate, and had endless opportunities to grow. And I think so many times we sit here and take this thing for granted and call it the American dream, and people don't really say, you know, oh, America doesn't really have a dream. No, it has a dream. You just have to be, you know, open your eyes big enough to see that there's a bigger picture here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so Noel, we get back to you and talking about how, you know, your efforts with working with the school to get them books, to get them food, to get them, you know, chickens, just to have eggs every day. I mean, just take a step back. You know,
Hey,
viewers.
I'm gonna tell you, man. Even watching the documentary, like I said, anybody that know, there's two things I don't watch. I tell people I don't watch sports. Why? Because I don't watch TV, right? And I think it was meant for me to watch a documentary. Like, I just had some free time in the house. I was off daddy duty. I had some bourbon. I just sat, watched it, and I forgot who it was, but they said right now there's tens of millions of dollars that's being ran through Esteli in
oh yeah,
Nicaragua every single day, building roads, hospitals, schools, tens of millions of dollars from the premium cigar industry. And for me, like, it hit me so hard, Jack and Noel, that when I went to the shop this morning to grab a cigar to smoke with the fellas, I talked about it to those guys this morning. I'm like, this makes me fall in love with the premium cigar industry even more,
I think
because we are giving people opportunities.
I take it a step further, Johnny. I was sitting in church today, and our bishop had just went to Peru, and he
Yeah,
had went to Peru, was praying for people and different things of that nature, and he was talking to one of the guys down in Peru and said, "Hey, if I can build this up, build this part right here, to be a little bit bigger,
yeah,
I will be able to house, refugees, and not only refugees but also provide medical services to those refugees." And it was astonishing to hear the amount that was needed for that, right?
yeah,
So you would think, hey, okay, Johnny, if I want to build a separate part, maybe call it 500 square feet to your house,
yeah,
you'll say, hey, contractors come out and say it costs you $75,000 for that.
yeah,
It costs $1,600 to do that, bro.
yeah,
In Peru,
yeah,
$1,600. You can imagine this. I put it like this. I'm gonna make it as lame as terms as this. If we was to stop buying Starbucks or stop eating out for a year, we would have enough money to
to do
donate
and
to
some.
some to somebody that needs it. And
Yeah,
and Noel, not to kind of get sidetracked from you, but this is what you guys are doing on a day-to-day basis.
no, it's
I seen
absolutely.
when Jonathan Drew posted something. He bought a skyscraper, the biggest building complex in Nicaragua, and he said to rent this out every single year was $4,500. $4,500. I pay that in 1 month. 1 month as with a one retail location. I pay that in 1 month. So you look at the things that Noel is doing and providing, jobs to 60 plus people now. Because I imagine you have a bigger staff than 35 people, but let's call it 65 people now. It's amazing the work that can be done in the millions and millions and millions of dollars that goes through the cigar industry, and yet we don't want to talk about that. When we pay $16 for a cigar, we're not paying $16 for a cigar.
Yeah,
We're paying the $8 it took to make that cigar, to pay those people, to feed those people, to allow them to go to school, to allow them to get to work, to allow them to go through all of these things that it goes into making this stuff work, man. So Noel, I sit here and I applaud you,
absolutely.
and I applaud the cigar industry for what they are doing. To have the certain tenacity that you have, Noel, to sit here and say, in an industry where people are taking countless shots at you to try to make you go under, to make sure you don't succeed, to make sure this and that, so they can keep their pockets fatter. It's sad, bro.
And then not just that, Jack, to even imagine the individuals apart from Noel. Noel was doing it the right way, man. You got individuals who take shortcuts. Individuals take shortcuts and they don't put in the work and they expect to reap the same benefits that Noel's putting in with Rojas Cigar Company, man. And it just doesn't add up. You got individuals that are boots on ground, putting in the work day in and day out, and ensuring, number one, especially in this new wave of cigar smokers, which I think I'm kind of key on right now, is this new age where they're not, you got your smokers that have been smoking for a minute, they know what they like, and they appreciate premium cigars, they can tell the difference. And then you got some of those smokers that you just follow. We call them in the brick and mortar, we call them brand whores, where they just focus on a particular brand and that's what they stay with. And you got individuals like Noel who are out there, boots on the ground, doing what it takes to put in the work. And we appreciate guys like that all day long. We appreciate guys like that, man.
Appreciate that, man.
No, Noel, I'm gonna tell you, I am a stickler for cigars, man. And anybody that smokes, whether you smoke one cigar a day, whether you smoke five, I'm sorry, I'm on the 5 mark. We can tell the difference between those that call themselves a premium cigar and those that are actual premium cigars, and they take the time to develop blends.
Cause
to cultivate the tobacco.
I'll be honest, there's some shitty ass cigars out here. And
No, we gonna.
people are no. You gotta speak on that type of stuff, man.
No, it is true, man. It is
Like
absolutely true.
people want to get in here and say, hey, I just want a piece of that pie. It's a $1 billion industry. I just want 1%.
But the thing that jacks me up, and you both can agree, man, is I don't mind you having a piece of the pie, but contribute to the industry.
Man, contribute to the industry.
Dude.
Noel, speaking of contributing to the industry, Rojas Cigar Factory has just opened up, did a grand opening.
This is a grand opening, yeah.
Like what's the next step? What's next?
Well, my focus mainly, it's for me, it's just not doing it for the sake of doing it. It's
Absolutely.
It's purpose, right? And within the purpose, part of that purpose is what we're doing in Nicaragua. What we were just talking about, being able to go to that school and say, how many kids you have?
Yes.
Well, we have 250, 300. Okay, how can we get them? Because most of these kids, for example, they only eat protein when they're in the school.
Yeah.
And saying, okay, how can we make it happen where every single kid have 2 eggs for the breakfast?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we need this many chickens. Okay, well, we went ahead, we bought all the chickens they need. And just not going out of rail, but me personally, they have a really hard touch on me, just because, and I don't feel embarrassed just to say where I'm coming from, on my everything that I went through in Cuba. Everybody knows in Cuba things are tough, and especially after the collapse of the Soviet Union, Cuba went to depression, which it still is, and it's even worse. And I was about 8 years old when that happened. I was able to see Cuba before and after Soviet Union collapses, and of course, Cuba had everything because Soviet Union was sending everything for free just in order to keep the missiles there during the Cold War. Anyways, I was born and raised single mom, and she lost her job because there was not enough work around. And since I was 9, 10 years old, I was the man of the house. I have to go work with farmers. I have to talk to farmers and ask them to let me go to the field and pick up whatever was left after their harvest: beans, rice, potatoes, anything like that. I used to have only one pair of shoes, the one that the one that I used to go to the school. During the day, I was just naked foot, just walking around my neighborhood. I have one set of clothes. We barely have protein to eat every day, so every single day, because there was no electricity, I remember I have this fishing rope, and I will go to a lake behind my house just to get a couple of fishes so we can eat something on dinner. I was hungry for many years. We have a really hard time. People don't even, like you said, here in America. Here in America, people don't, sometimes they don't realize how good things are here. But I remember that sometimes I have to wake up at night and just drink water because I was so hungry that I couldn't sleep.
Wow.
This is literally not for one day or two. This is for years. This happened for years. Well, when I came to the States, I was 180 pounds. In 1 year, I went all the way to 250.
Wow.
And I was eating like food was going to end next day. Imagine. And anyways, that's purpose. Being able to say, this is what I have been brought to the earth to do. Being able to help other people to go through life, especially kids, better than what I did. And the number two, going back to the consumers and the cigar industry, it's I don't want to be just another another cigar maker just making cigar for the people out there. I want to be the cigar maker that is gonna help the consumer to get to the next step, to the
Yeah,
next stage, which is understanding cigars to the point of at least 80% of what we manufacturers understand. I'm talking about, and this is all part of my cigar specialist set. I don't know if you guys have seen it, which is a set of all different tobaccos from three different regions of Nicaragua, three different primates, and the blending that goes into it. This is something that is we're finishing the back end of building it. This how to become a cigar specialist. We're gonna teach people about cigars to the point of a cigar, what I call a cigar specialist, level one or level two, whatever, will be sitting next to you, see that you have a cigar tunneling, and he will be like, "Hey, you know what? That cigar is tunneling because actually that cigar used to, it's a, let's say, a 6 by 52 total, and it should weigh 16.5 or 17 grams, but I actually make it on 14 grams probably. That's why there is missing tobacco inside of that cigar and it's tunneling." And
yep,
you will, how do you know that? Well, because I'm a cigar specialist, and I know things about cigars, and people being able to go to the next step, just not smoking cigars, but actually smoking a cigar, saying, "You know what? I can taste tobacco from Jalapa here, Esteli, or I can taste tobacco from Peru, or I can taste tobacco from Pennsylvania." That's the next step, and that's what I think is my purpose, and the purpose of the Rojas brand is not only to make some of the most flavorful cigars out there on a smaller gauges, but also be able to create a more educated and more sophisticated consumer that, as you said, for example, banker, that you changed completely your mind after you saw that documentary of
absolutely.
Apple. you know, okay, that experience you got, imagine adding 50% more on top of that on
Yeah,
knowledge about tobacco and cigars at the manufacturing at the manufacturing point, and then putting all that information in all the consumers that you can put around you, how much love people are going to have for the cigar industry. It's going to be 100% times more than what they had
absolutely.
before knowing what they knew. And that's going back to your question. That's my purpose, is actually be able to be that person that is going to deliver that information and be able to provide the road for people to become cigar specialists, which
No,
is just, sorry to interrupt, but which is not something that some of the bigger manufacturers want, because hey, who want a well instructor or well sophisticated cigar consumer that can actually determine whether a cigar is good or not, and it's not going to be foolish by the beautiful label and a big marketing behind it. I mean,
Yeah,
nobody wants it, but that's not my point. My point is I want a full knowledge, a really well um, cigar specialist who know what good cigars are. And I don't have to tell him I made the best cigars in the world. He will just have to smoke it and say, I mean, this is really good cigar. But this one over here, it's not really as good as they say it is. You know what I mean? So that's actually the purpose of the Rojas brand, is education percent.
you know, no, I had some just put on my heart. So you do a lot of work in the Nicaragua area, which is where you are. What what would it do you have some type of foundation that ones can contribute to assist? And I mean, because a lot of times we get people on this show, especially manufacturers, just got it all together, multimillionaires. Their brands are freaking doing phenomenal. They're not seeing, or even let alone, I wouldn't say they don't care. I'm not gonna say that. That's going a little too deep. But I would say that the forefront is not thinking about the infrastructure of what it takes to allow a longevity and building process for the future of Nicaragua, the future of Cuba, the future of Honduras, the future of Dominican Republic. Do you have a foundation that can be donated to, that maybe here, Johnny, we can create a
Yeah.
maybe a GoFundMe account, or some type of donation account to where people can donate to those type of things and kind of present those to you guys to help those families, particularly.
Well, now you mention it. We don't have any. I mean, the school is out there, and they do have a website. But now you mention it, I think that actually catch my attention. Maybe we can do something where we can actually uh, have a link for people to actually see everything, because this is the thing. I don't want just people. We have a couple. Like I have a friend that I made cigars for, um, Lee March, Stolen Throne Cigars, and Lee has donated things together with his friends to the school. And what they do, and I asked them to do that, is there is a particular purpose for the money that they deliver. And in this case, for example, they donated one of these swimming pools that you put in the backyard.
Yeah.
Those one of those, because they didn't have one. The one they had was broken, and he donated one. And they, we took a picture, we sent it to them, we put their name outside of the area of the swimming pool donated by, and things like that. I, I'm gonna talk to the owner of that school, see if we can come out with any kind of website where people can actually see their investment, or they can actually uh, help specific kids. Saying, okay, we're patronized, we're supporting this kid and this kid, these two kids, for example. And as you said before, man, it doesn't take much. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just
You know,
you can. I mean, for example, just the monthly fee for these kids on the school is about $60 per person.
Yeah.
$60. I mean, what is $60, right? And they get everything that all the kids get.
you know,
Um,
I own a cigar lounge here in Jacksonville, Florida, and one thing that I would love to do, and in the business of blessing, being a blessing to other people, is creating some type of charity drive to be able to donate, maybe Christmas, or um, some type of New Year's type deal to this school. Noel, you have my number. Let's reach out. Let's try to figure out something before we get too close to Christmas, to where we can make, to where any donations to, you can donate, $3, $4, or something like that. And we here at Dapper D's and some of our sponsors as well may be able to be interested in this, where here at Dapper D's we can support, maybe a swimming pool, maybe a new textbooks or new clothes or anything of that nature. Let's try to let's really, I mean that when I say that.
That's
Let's
facts.
really try to work something out to where we can donate, because I mean, this is the part that I love, right? This is the
Absolutely.
part that where we have the ability to assist and let us assist. Like, let's try to figure out that plan, and maybe over the next couple of weeks we figure it out. We iron it out. We promote it on the virtual smoke deck. We promote it on our personal pages. We promote it on Dapper D's pages. We promote it on the virtual smoke deck pages, to where we can put together a kind of a donation fund to assist, some of those hard to reach areas, that's either in Nicaragua or even Cuba. I mean, I'm okay with that. How does that sound for you?
Sounds good. Sounds good. And for your viewers, if they want to see their Facebook page for that particular school, they can go to, um, it's called Fundación, like foundation, Fundación Cristal, like crystal, just like that. Foundation Cristal in Esteli, and you will see all the pictures there, all the videos of everything they do. Um, There's a couple with that name. Just look for the one in Nicaragua, and it might pop up like Los Pipitos, but just search for that
Help
foundation.
us spell that. Los what?
Uh, Los Pipitos. It's one second.
LOS.
Yeah, Pipitos. Yeah. But Foundation Cristal. I think they do have a Facebook page. I haven't checked really. But Foundation Cristal, you will be able to.
Man, let's do this. We're not gonna try to wrap our heads around this tonight. Let's have a separate meeting to
Okay.
where we can figure this out. We can put up a donation drive, figure out, how what's our goal. If our goal is 2,000, let's figure out how we can get 2,000. I guarantee, not only through our viewers, but through the different networks that we're in, um, we can definitely figure this out. Our one of our viewers, Charles, our guy has figured it out. Los Pitos,
Love Charles, man.
that boy is legit, man.
Gotta love Charles, man.
Pitos.org. Oh yeah.
Charles
So
is the man.
let's figure this out. I say no. We have a separate conversation. Not only does it bring awareness to Noel Cigars and everything, that we can make this a in partnership with
Got it.
Noel Cigars factory in Nicaragua. But I am compelled to say that we need to do something about this. We need to help. We know where we can donate the money to. So let's put up a donation. Let's figure this out. Let's figure out what we need to put together and make this jog happen. I think
Absolutely.
something for Christmas. I'm pretty positive we can raise $2,000 by Christmas.
Okay.
To put something together to help this school, and we would love to do that, man. I think a lot of your message has been, it's touched me here. You know what I mean? And so many times we take these things for granted. I mean, this is even something I would fly out for. So let's figure it out. Let's get the handle on it. As we wrap up for the night, man, we haven't talked too much about Rojas Cigars, man. Let's talk about everything that Rojas is doing. What can we expect from Rojas next?
Well, we're working on a couple new things coming up to the market. The last releases were the Street Tacos Carnitas, and it's been really well accepted. It's a Nicaraguan filler with Ecuadorian Connecticut wrappers. It's more like a medium body Connecticut. It's not a mild, flavorless Connecticut, that's for sure. And I can tell you that we're selling every single one of them we make. Our factory is now making about 1.6 million cigars a year, and it's difficult to increase production just based on the fact that smaller ring gauges takes more care to do. For you to have an idea, the average for a factory on rejected cigars quality control is between 1 to 3%. We're up 7%,
Wow.
7% rejection. And the thing is, it's way more difficult to make smaller gauge cigars than making. And plus, they only make production wise, a regular couple in Nicaragua on ring gauges over 52 will make about 350 cigars a day. With a smaller gauge cigars, especially as you go smaller on the gauge, the difficult it is. They barely make between 200 to 250 cigars a day.
Yeah.
It's hard, and we have a really hard quality control. We have 100% draw testing on the cigars. 7% is a lot, but we're working on something new. We also released the unfinished business, which is a Sumatra wrapper, same wrapper we use on the first Street Tacos Barbacoa. And in this case, I made this particular blend using that wrapper and using a Mexican San Andres binder. So it's a Sumatra wrapper, Mexican San Andres binder with a Nicaraguan filler. It's medium body, a lot of creaminess, and you get a lot of dark notes. coming out from that particular Mexican binder with the creaminess of the Sumatra wrapper. Those two has been really well accepted. I see people posting it all the time on Instagram and Facebook. You know, uh,
Sorry.
and people will be all the time, taking care of this unfinished business. Like things like that. We're working on a new release for February, which is Breakfast Tacos. And Breakfast Tacos is a little Solomon, which is 5.5 inches, 42 gauge on the wider part of the Solomon. It's a very interesting size, and it's mostly for people that doesn't have a lot of time to smoke a cigar. You have like a 30-minute
Yeah.
break, things like that. You can just smoke it. We're gonna make it on three different wrappers, which is Sumatra, Mexican San Andres wrapper, and Ecuadorian wrapper. Breakfast tacos is more like a medium body type of cigar. It's not the same blend of any of the other tacos. It's just a different blend for this particular size. I'm really excited about that. I smoked most of the samples we have made, and it's super flavorful. I mean, for that particular little size, you get a lot of flavor from the wrapper, and we're expecting that that's gonna do very well. The breakfast tacos, Rojas breakfast tacos, that will be coming in February, and for next year, we're planning to release the 10th anniversary cigar for the the factory and the Rojas company.
Nice.
I have been making cigars in Nicaragua since I came from Cuba. It's been 10 years now, and we're gonna release the 10th anniversary. Um, Going forward, we're now working on the uh, the blend for street tacos chorizo. So we have, street tacos barbacoa, we have street tacos carnitas, and we will have probably by the PCA the release of the street tacos chorizo, which is gonna be more like a little spicy, peppery type of cigar. With I'm thinking on a Mexican San Andres wrapper, but we just got a hold with a big company that actually grows most of the tobacco in Connecticut and PA. So we might be able to do that cigar actually with broadleaf Connecticut wrapper. So
Nice.
that's going to be very interesting. That's, in my opinion, if one of the best Maduro wrappers on the market. Street tacos, chorizo coming soon, and the breakfast tacos. I mean, other than that, my main focus so far, our main focus so far on the factory has been just taking every single dime we're making, selling cigars, putting back on investing on tobacco, just buying tobacco, buying tobacco, buying tobacco, financing farmers. We're growing tobacco. Um, we're fermenting it. It's crazy how big the change is when you actually have the control over the
Yeah.
growing process and the fermentation process.
Yeah.
I can tell you when I started that I didn't have any money to actually grow tobacco or ferment tobacco, and I was buying from providers. I mean, it was good tobacco. I can say it was not, but it's just a step up when you actually have the opportunity to ferment it at your own speed. Growing your own seeds, growing your own varieties of tobacco. It's a whole different game, and I think that's what actually has put us on the place that you were saying. People are really starting to notice in the Rojas brand because the quality of the cigars and I mean, you can tell people how good the cigar is 100 times a day. It just takes to smoke one cigar to see, the quality of the burning, the quality of the flavor, the quality of the construction of the cigars. Is just is the personal experience. That's what really makes the brand where we are right now.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And no, I mean we can go on night and day about everything that the Rojas Cigar Factory is doing and everything that you have going on that is great, man. And one thing that I'm excited for is really sitting down and having these meetings with trying to figure out what foundation we can start building money for, and then not only that but supporting the other brands that you have, the breakfast taco. As Charles talked about the breakfast taco, he also brought up something called a taco pack, which is like a sampler pack with all your different, um, carnitas, the barracudas, and different things of that nature, man. So we're very looking forward to this, and I am interested in the conversation that we're gonna have. Johnny, what is our quote of the
Oh,
week?
you know what, Jack? I shared something, man. And God, what was it that I shared it and I deleted it because I'm like, damn, I'm gonna save it for the quote of the week. Oh, I got it. And this is real honest. The quote, the gem of the week is don't sweat the small stuff. Don't sweat the small stuff. So, Noel, every day, well, every week, every Sunday on the virtual smoke deck, we talk about cigars, talk about cigar industry, cigar culture. But at the end of the show, we always like to leave our audience with something to take for the week. And we call it the gem of the week. And whether it be religious, whether it be personal, whatever the case may be, man, I think one of the quotes that hit really close to me right now is don't sweat the small stuff. So virtual smoke deck audience, hashtag it, don't sweat the small stuff. I think sometimes we can get so consumed by all the shit that's going on in our lives, and it may be incredibly juvenile. It's tiny that we forget about the big picture. The big picture is we are alive. I grew up in a Pentecostal church. We're alive. We got breath in our bodies. It's a new day. If I'm alive and it's a new day and I got breath in my body, that means I have an opportunity to change the world. So the gem of the week is do not sweat the small stuff. That's it, Jack. That's it for you. I ain't
Cool.
gonna preach.
Cool.
Hashtag don't sweat that small stuff.
Very cool.
Oh man.
Well, we definitely appreciate you guys
Yeah, that's it.
kind of doing some of the things that we are forced to do. Not forced. I mean, forced is a bad word.
I love
Uh,
this, man.
this is the part where coming on a virtual smoke. I mean, I don't understand. I don't think everybody understand how compelled I am to assist in this project.
Yeah,
I am so interested and making sure that we have some type of mark that the virtual smoke deck can leave, um, to assist in these things that we often overlook. When we light up a cigar. I mean, people come in daily, not only in Kingsleaf but in Dapper D's and every
yeah,
other cigar lounge all across the world, uh, to smoke a cigar. And it's some of the small things that we need to highlight and really focus on. And I'm excited about that, man. So
absolutely.
with that being said, man, we can go on for another hour, 2 hours, and I think we'll still have an amazing time. But a couple things we want to highlight our sponsors. So shout out to Dapper D Cigars. If you haven't already, go follow Dapper D Cigars on Instagram and Facebook to keep updated with all the things that they have going on. Shop dapperdscigars.com today for any cigar needs or wants that you have. Also, shout out to McAuliffe Cigars, which is our sponsor as well.
Smoke McAuliffe.
Smoke McAuliffe. All right. Smoke McAuliffe, Smoke Rojas.
Yes,
We got to shout out McAuliffe, and we are officially a a retailer for McAuliffe. We have their collection box. We have several of the different SKUs that they have in stock uh, in the store. So Smoke McAuliffe. If you don't know or you don't realize, Smoke McAuliffe. Um, Also, go follow Dapper D's. Excuse me. Go follow Virtual Smoke Deck on Facebook, Instagram, as well as YouTube, and click that subscribe button. Turn that notification bell. Give us a huge thumbs up to be locked in on all the latest and funnest and greatest shows that we have coming to you. Next week we are live with the Virtual Smoke Deck crew, baby.
go. It's gonna be lit. It's
We
gonna be a
we
nice
live
show.
with this Virtual Smoke Deck crew.
It's gonna be a good show.
Man, it's been a busy week. It's been a busy month this month. We have had almost a guest every single week, and we haven't did a virtual smoke deck crew show in a while. So I'm excited about that. We're gonna definitely, give you guys what you are asking for. God get some, and God gets you some to tacos.
See, Jack, that's your dead giveaway. Hey, no, don't mind
God,
us.
God
See,
get, God get you some. God
Hey,
get you
listen,
some.
before we log off, I'm gonna explain. So Noel, so Charles is so I work at a brick and mortar in South Carolina part. Well, I was working for them full time, but now I work part time now. Called Kingsleaf Cigars, right? So Jack, it was about what 2 weeks ago. Charles logs on every single Sunday.
Every single Sunday. Thank you,
Every
Charles.
single Sunday, Charles logs on to the Virtual Smoke Deck. Charles, he lives in Tennessee. He drove to Tampa. On his way come back from Tampa, he stopped in Jacksonville to check out Darian, check out Jack at Dapper D Cigar Lounge. And lo and behold, Charles came to King's Leaf, and I just happened to be at the shop. He smoked with the both of us in the same day.
And
In
the
the
same day.
same
And
day.
the same day.
In the same day,
And the
man.
same
So
day.
shout out to Charles, man. That's my
Hey,
boy.
hey, no, and this will leave you with something positive to think about today. So we asked the virtual smoke deck for anybody that they would love to see on the show. Your name popped up on the show, so
Yes, absolutely.
that's when he left. But his name popped up on the show,
Yes.
and they said he is the next AJ Fernandez.
Yes.
The next AJ Fernandez that's what they said, Noel. They said you were the next AJ Fernandez. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? If you can
Well,
imagine that, imagine.
honestly, I'd rather say I'm the next Noel Rojas.
All right, there
That's
you go. There
it.
you go. There you go.
I
There you
mean,
go.
I have all the respect on the world for AJ Fernandez. I know him personally, but I think my focus is not just making cigar for other people. My focus is actually making my own brand
Absolutely.
and being able to create a different wave per se, or a different consumer that is going to be so well fill out with knowledge
Yeah.
that they will set the tone for the cigar industry and for the upcoming people to the cigar industry. Because I think it's going to be a big difference, right? Like when you smoke your first cigar, for example, you might have somebody who told you a little bit about the cigars, but I think it will make a way different, a way big impact on you if you have somebody that, instead of just telling you, "Okay, this is a good cigar, smoke it," somebody that actually goes and tell you everything like what you saw on the hand roll documentary. Then,
Absolutely.
then you will be like 100%. I want to get into this. I mean, this is just too big for me to miss it, right? And that's what I want to create. That's what I want to create. That's my focus. And I see all the people that actually smoke Rojas brand as part of our team. That's why we have all these jersey like baseball player shirts. We have these black t-shirts that said Team Rojas, because really, I mean, we see all the consumers that support our brand as part of the team. So I just that's the whole thing, is just trying to make a team that is really really well knowledge when it comes to cigars.
Absolutely. You got it, Jack.
And let's get it. Let's get it. Hey, thanks for checking out the virtual smoke deck. I am Jack, the cigar enthusiast,
I'm John, the cigar banker.
and we are the virtual smoke deck. Until next Sunday, we'll see you. Stay smoky, and remember, freaking remember,
Yes.
don't sweat the small stuff.
I'm sweating.
We are the virtual smoke deck. We are gone.